How you going, guys? Basically been wanting to make this video for a while, and I just want to talk about tone, and I really don't like that word, but because it's so subjective. But what kind of got me started, what got me thinking about this was watching demos on the Fender Yngwie Malmsteen Overdrive versus the DoD 250. Then people leaving comments like, oh, I don't like his new tone, it's too high end, it's too this, it's too that, I prefer the old one, it's warmer, and blah, blah, blah. A lot more has changed than just his overdrive pedal. Now, the biggest thing, and actually a big thanks to Circle of Tone for sort of getting me thinking about this sort of stuff. So say for example, people always going about, just the first, the Rising Force album. Alright, it's a DoD 250 and he used that pretty much for, the longest time in his career. A few things have changed, and the biggest thing, going from from analog, from tape to digital, the rooms, the microphones, the recording consoles, all those things have changed. Be honest, and give or take, Malmsteen's pretty much had the same setup for freaking however long. Yeah, okay, I know he's gone from Damasio to Seymour Duncan. The overdrive pedal changed. Basically, he has had his sound for however long. We're just hearing it differently now. We're hearing it on digital. Okay, same things. Like the old records, the old 33s and that. We now got these things on CD. It's a different format. A good example. Alright, so say for example, AC/DC's Back in Black. Now, I've got 3 different versions of that album. I've got just the regular CD that came out with the Bonfire pack. I've got my dad's old, was it the 33, and like a digital remaster, anniversary, whatever. But you flip it over. It's a 2-sided disc. You flip it over, and it's got like a documentary on the album there. I mean, that's a pretty dark sounding album, but I would be willing to bet if you were actually in the room when they were setting up those, the amps and that, they were probably pretty bright. The old Marshalls can be kind of bright, and they have a reputation for being kind of bright. And even actually the guy from Circle of Tone had a point talking about like Hendrix's setup. Jesus Christ, I mean, a Fender Strat, which was already fairly bright sounding, into a cranked Marshall. What was his name? Owen from Circle of Tone said, that will take the fucking enamel off your teeth, the shit will be that bright. But because it's going through, tape, old consoles, old microphones, you will lose that high end. I've got a magazine from 2001, which I think is right behind me, with in an interview with Dimebag Darrell talking about the recording process of the Reinventing the Steel album. Now that was still recorded on tape. That was recorded over we'll say the year 2000, came out 2001. That was still recorded on tape, and even Dime had said in the interview, you can get the sound you want in the room, but by the time it's gone through, through the tape and consoles and all this sort of stuff, you've lost a lot of that high end. So there's your, vintage warmth. You're getting a lot of just high end roll off. So I think when people talk about old tone and new tone, and there's a lot more going on than people may first think. Recording has changed so much, So for example, we'll really go to extremes now, like the old Chuck Berry recordings. Chances are a lot of those older recordings were, a separate vocal booth, and chances are probably everyone in the one room. I don't know if they really had isolation rooms and things like that, but would have been a vocal booth. There's a lot more going on than just, this is an old amp, it must sound good. Paul Reed Smith had a good point talking about the, I think when the McCarty 594 or something came out, talking about how people I sort of seem to think that Jimi Hendrix's The Wind Cries Mary guitar tone is like the best clean sound and all this sort of thing. Well, Paul Reed Smith had a point. That gear was not vintage gear. That was, give or take, a brand new amp and probably a brand new guitar. I don't know, year or two old, but it was new gear at the time. But again, old recording consoles, tape, things like that. There was a lot more going on than just, oh, it's vintage, it must be good. Not always the bloody case. If vintage was good, we'd still be driving around in T-model Fords, don't you think? But no, things progress in that. And you also hear a lot of people saying, all right, so for example, I do enjoy reading about the old Les Pauls and things like that. There's also a lot of shit ones out there. There's some really nice ones, there's also some really shit ones. So just because something is vintage, that does not always equal good. Okay, we also get this thing that because something is expensive, that does not also mean it's good. Sometimes, a lot of the time, you'd want to think and hope it's good. It's not always going to be the case though. But anyway, look, that's just my little rant. Just because something's old, it doesn't mean it's good. And there's a lot more going on. Like again, AC/DC, they've pretty much had the same setup for however long. Shit, my dad used to go see them in high schools around here for about $2.50 in, it's 1975. And would have been Malcolm and that one Gretsch that he's had pretty much his entire career into what? A Plexi? Angus with either a Plexi or a JTM 45. But the recording process has changed. So that's the biggest difference. They've pretty much had the same setup. Slayer's in a similar position, pretty much the same sort of setup. But the recording process has changed. So that's, vintage tone and this and that. It's the bloody recording process. The gear hasn't really changed. It's the recording process. Okay, I think that's the biggest thing. Vintage gear, smooth high end. It's the tape and the old recording consoles taking away that really bright, shrill high end. So anywho, that's my little rant for the day, but have a think about that, okay? And if you have any thoughts, leave them in the comments below. I'm interested to hear what you have to say. I'm probably pissed off a few people, but it is YouTube and people know everything about everything on YouTube, so... but that's my little 2 cents. It would be interesting, say for example, to get, say for example, Jimi Hendrix's gear and record it today and how things would sound. Even like the old British Steel, what was the other one, Screaming for Vengeance, they're fairly dark sounding albums. They're on tape, on old consoles and things like that. So there's more going on than just the gear. I mean, I think that's half the time why people, can get all the gear and go, it doesn't sound like the album. Because the album's been EQ'd, compressed, recorded to tape, old consoles, things like that. So anyway, that's my little rant. So take it easy, have a good weekend, and I'll see you later.